Welcome back to Range Anxiety TV, and today we're pivoting back to petrol. Now, that's obviously odd coming from me because that simply is never happening ever. However, if you believe the AI bot farms that feed you information on Facebook, Meta, maybe even X to a degree, but not so much, you would think that the world is undergoing a transition that, we've tried EVs for a few years. Nope, we're going back to internal combustion. Well, Mohammed would be very happy with that, and, because you've got to buy his product. The reality is, it's just a stupid idea. Now, to give you an idea of how much of a stupid idea, I've said idea 3 times very quickly in succession there, have a look at what Lotus have just come out with lately. Lotus to get rid of electric cars and go back to, I don't know how current that picture is, but they're saying a V8 now as well. I mean, let's face it, they've got like a Camry V6 supercharged. And there's nothing good that doesn't come out of a Camry. That's probably the best part of the Lotus. And they also use, I believe, the AMG 4-banger A35, 45 style donk in them as well, in your mirror. But they're going to pivot away from electric and go back to petrol. Well, 90% of what they sell is petrol. And if you have a look at the electric stuff they make, the Electra, I think that must be Spanish for feces, because it is a one giant pile of shit. It weighs well into the 2.5 ton category. Huge. It's a whale of a thing. It's a massive car to look at. It's built by Geely in China, which there's nothing wrong with that, but it certainly goes against everything Lotus ever stood for, which was light, engineering, nimble, handling. This thing's just an big, unreliable bag of poop. It kind of looks all right, and it's about also twice as expensive as it should be. So, yeah, electric Lotuses aren't selling, and that's a bloody good reason why. Wow, like what? And have a look at even bigger players like Audi. Audi was saying that, they're going to stop or transition out of petrol stuff by 2026, and now they're not doing that anymore. That's again because their electric product is really quite shit. Now, I am a big fan of the Taycan, and the RS e-tron GT, good-looking car, is based on the Taycan. It has all the Taycan's faults, like a battery that could fail and explode at any time should you charge it over 80%, due to its pouch cell design. Pouch cells, no good. They were told this back in the day, but cheap. And again, horrendously overpriced in the first instance. So they depreciate like a stone. It's not so much because they're a bad car. Well, kind of they are. They're under-engineered in the battery department, but they're just way too dear to start with. They shouldn't be that much. Having said that, e-tron GT is probably the nicest looking EV out there, so that's pretty good. And Mercedes. What can one say about Merc that hasn't been said a squintillion times before? They did make a really good car back in the day. Like in the 90s, the S-Class was the pinnacle of automotive engineering. Now it's just awful. Let's just take a quick look at that. There is some new V8 Hybrid S thing that's just been released, and it is quite fast, and it does have a V8 in it. It also weighs 2.7 tonne. Like, what is wrong with these people? And the EVs, like the EQS, I've spent some time with one of those. It was beautifully done by about 20 different design departments, none of whom talk to each other. So it was just like everything in the Mercedes EV lineup, which they're just redoing currently because they worked out that it was pretty crap. It's just disingenuous. Like, they didn't need to make the EQS look that ugly, but they did. They didn't need to make things like the EQA not have a frunk, but they did. They were just kind of not giving it their all. And, the hype of the AMG C63S, which went from 6.2 litre V8 to a 4 litre twin turbo V8 to tiny little 4-cylinder single turbo. That's not getting a V8 put in it. There's a number of reasons why, which I'll go through in a moment, but that's going to stay the way it is. The V8 will live on in the S-Class in a detuned or tuned or differently run form, patched over with a hybrid system so that they can pass emissions. People are going, yeah, great on you, Merc, bring back the V8. I'm looking at buying one of those. I've currently got an AU Falcon. Well, unless you've got 500k, think again, Einstein, because it doesn't work like that. So, you know, it's just, and the new CLA EV, good-looking car. I believe we've got a picture of it. Good-looking car. But would you believe it's 800-volt architecture, but what that means is that it can't use Tesla superchargers like every other EV in the world not because it's 800 volt, but because engineers were too stupid to make it do split-pack charging like every other 800-volt car on the market. So who's going to buy one when you've limited your number of chargers you can use by about 60%? Mercedes. I mean, even Toto Wolff would have known that that's a stupid idea. So yeah, the mistakes keep coming. And for most manufacturers, these are just the real doozies. But let me tell you why right now no one's going to pivot back to V8s or petrol. Because what happens in car making land is when you design and build a car, everything's put in place 5 years in terms of production line and engineering to get it done. And if you just decide to turn the tap off today, it's going to take you maybe another 5 years before that can happen. You see what I mean? It's not just some nimble thing that you can just, pivot here, pivot there. We're going to make this, we're going to make that. Manufacturing doesn't work like that. Manufacturing consists of big supply chains and decisions that last 7 years to a decade at any one time. So, you know, I know the clickbait AI bots are there to give you some entertainment, and I know they do in a lot of instances, like our nuclear fantasy and how wind farms kill whales. Whales. I've seen, yeah, anyway, that's orange man dumb. But it's not going to change. It's not going to change because the market's going to decide, and everyone I know, which is many people, so I do speak to a lot of people. I mean, I don't do much work. All I do is talk. Anyone that's tried an EV or even a full hybrid never wants to go back. Why would you? Something slower, more unreliable, just worse in every way, and 10 times more expensive to run. So you heard it here first at Range Anxiety. Don't be angry at me, but if you are, tell me why, because I speak the facts, and if you don't agree with them, well then bad luck to you.